Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a little brief snippet I wanted to bring you. I suppose under the heading of how to A, identify a lie, and B, dispel it with a couple of little facts. So let's have a listen to this lady and her, as you can see on her face, her trip in La La Land. Let's have a listen in.
Now, after a one-day delay because of bad weather, the European Space Agency has successfully launched its mission to see if the moon of Jupiter can support alien life. The Jupiter...
No, it didn't. And it didn't because you can't leave our system. Because on Earth, we experience gas pressure. That's why we have what we call a PSI. And you can only experience gas pressure inside containment of some sort, because it's the measure of that pressing, as the word pressure would suggest, from within the container, right? So the more you squeeze into a container, whatever the medium may be, the more there is to contain, and thus increasing the pressure within that container. You cannot have that if you're in an open system, which we would have to be for rockets to be able to leave it and go out into a Alice in Wonderland, absolute nonsensical violation of the law of thermodynamics, outer space vacuum. Nonsensical. Just give that some thought for a second while I resume.
The icy moons explorer took off from the European spaceport in French Guiana. It will take 8 years to reach its destination, where it will examine 3 of Jupiter's moons to see if there's hidden oceans of water could contain microbial life forms.
And yet more nonsense, of course. Right. I would encourage anybody, and I know I'm receiving a little bit of, how can I say it? Yeah, a bit of a pushback, let's say, because of my stance on shape of the earth and all the rest of it. But I would encourage anybody to go and have a look online, spend hours, spend days, spend weeks, and show me all the footage of Earth from space. There is none. As soon as these rocket launches, so-called, happen, as soon as they allegedly go to orbit or whatever, they enter into CGI mode. You never then get to see anything after that. Everybody sat in these so-called space centers or whatever, they're just sat in front of computer monitors with numbers on them, right? And I refer back to an interview that a guy called Krantz gave. He was the flight director, alleged flight director of the Apollo missions that landed on the moon. And he said in an interview once that that whole thing could have been computer simulated and the people in the space center wouldn't have known the difference, which for me was code for, of course we never went, right? We have to give this real thought, but this is just thrown out in the news like it's normal, kind of like the weather forecast, accepted norm. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's getting to the point of slapstick, but yet, you know, children believe this stuff, and it just furthers on the agenda in terms of keeping people captive in their own minds, thinking they're living on a little speck of dust in the middle of absolute infinity out there amongst gazillions of other specks of dust, you know, totally insignificant, and all the rest of it, just an accident of science, you know what I mean? And that is the narratives that we're fed. Everything's been discovered, nothing to see here, follow orders, we've got smarter people who know. And that's that. And this is what you're being fed. And although I'm sort of being a bit satirical and sarcastic and cynical about it, there is a sinister undercurrent to all of this, because these very same people are responsible for all your so-called information that you receive and all your so-called news that you get, right? So when they're willing to propagate and push lies, blatant lies like this, then you know you're in trouble. We have right from the start, just that some of us are starting to see it very, very clearly now. And a lot more people are catching on, especially thanks to what happened over the last 2 or 3 years, which if anybody hasn't cottoned onto that, then, you know, I know of a few very high cliffs in this area. Okay. On that bitter note, It just infuriates me. It really does frustrate me. Yeah, because I shouldn't be arguing with grown-ups about this topic. They should be being grown up about it, of course, of the opinion, I'll tell you what, I'll go and do a bit of research myself and take a little bit of a look, just like I did. You know. Anyway, okay. On this note, I shall see you all soon. Some of you sooner. Larry sends his regards, of course. Yeah, enjoy the weekend. And I'm sure I'll probably put a video out over the next few days anyway, because I wanted to take a little look around my immediate area, buildings-wise. But that's another story. Alrighty. Until then, thank you, and bye-bye for now.